Today's Bitcoin analysis is going to focus on the grand scheme of things and what's at stake for Bitcoin right now, given that it is at a critical juncture. First, in this video, we'll identify why Bitcoin's at a critical juncture. And then second, what we'll do is we'll go over, there are two cases for Bitcoin doing the same thing on a macro scale, which is bad. And then two cases for if Bitcoin does something different, what those two cases would look like. Are you ready? Let's get it. At the end of the video, I'm going to link you to the shorter term time frame so you can have more defined pivot points on whether things are going to be the same or different. It's from my analysis from 2 days ago, I believe Wednesday, April 6th, and I'll link you to that at the end. I give you very specific tools on what to use to create pivot points within here so you can move a little faster. All right, this is the weekly chart. I have on a red line and a purple line. You can see here in 28, so this is 2017 top. And this is 2019 when Bitcoin zoomed up to 14K, and this was 20K. The red line approaches purple line, has a bump up. Red line approaches purple line, has a bump up. Both cases. Red line approaches the purple line, has a bump up. All these cases, right? The previous bull cycle in 2013, this red line, it just crashed right through. So this was a little bit different. However, the capitulation did have something to do with red line crossing purple line. Okay, so this is another version of cross bat. However, I'm using the weekly 10 and 89, and this cross actually got the capitulation almost perfectly, almost to the day. And what we're looking at here, the two versions of, so this is a critical moment. That's why we're defining this as a critical moment, because every time in the past when red goes to purple, it is a critical moment. Bitcoin needs to make up its mind. In the past, there are only 3 iterations, which does not guarantee the same thing will happen on this fourth. 3 times, I mean, it's a very, very small sample size, because it's completely possible over the next 20 years, the next 3 times that red goes to purple, it actually does the opposite of what it did the first 3 times. And the law of numbers is, well, now you're 3 for 3. So over time, over 20, a 32-year period or whatever, that 20 plus, the current 12 years or 13 years Bitcoin has, it would be a 50-50 chance, right? It's so these previous 3 instances doesn't guarantee this fourth will be the same. However, it does make it logical that you should both identify this as a very important pivotal, juncture of Bitcoin, but you should lean towards being, you should lean a little bit more bearish, okay? And that was the whole reason why, even though on the short-term time frames, I correctly switch from bullish to bearish frequently, as you should too. Most of the comments on my channel, it's about that. It's folks not understanding what time frames mean. However, on the midterm time frame, I've maintained, perhaps since late December, early January, I maintained that I am midterm time frame bearish, and I just barely adjusted that a few days ago because of a monthly candle closure, which made me not be quite as bearish. I went a little bit more neutral, leaning bearish. All right, and this is the reason why. Because I've been seeing this incoming potential cross, since this point somewhere in January. All right, now that's defining it as a pivotal moment. Red going close to purple. Okay, it's extremely pivotal. If that's a word, pivotal. It's a critical juncture. Now, 2 versions of the same. Either from this point, either Bitcoin capitulates like it did in 2020, or it bounces and rides the purple and does a squeeze play with red. All right, either goes straight down or it tries to bounce on purple and red squeezes it down. And I'll zoom in here to current price action, and those are 2 versions of the same. And this is going to allow you to know a certain set of expectations over the next few months of the 2 versions that are the same. These are the things that I'm looking out for, 2 ways that would very likely play out, assuming something similar will happen to the last 2 times. This is the big scale picture, right? This is not going to help you with futures trading necessarily, timing things, or anything to that effect. However, my video from 2 days ago could help with that because it is a shorter term time frame. Therefore, if I can extend this red, take an imaginary red and go like this, if I can do it correctly without accidentally right clicking, make that red, and then extend the purple line like this. That's not purple, Tim. There we go. All right, so do the purple like that. two different ways this can roll, and this takes weeks. These are weekly candles, okay? So we're talking May or, something like that, or May or June out here, or most likely May. But anyway, bounces, gets stuck under, and, maybe has one more, and then capitulates. That would be more similar to 2018, late 2018, early 2019. I think that capitulation started on November 14th of 2018 is when it got a squeeze play back there after the 20K top. That's grand. So looking from way above, that is one fairly likely scenario if something's going to be the same. And there are two general scenarios. The second one is stuff just capitulates. Starting in April, this candle closes below. The next candle starts heating up, and the candle after that heats up, and then you get your capitulation. You could scoot this back one where you get some type of like baby rebound, where on the week it goes above then closes below the purple. You could extend that, and that would still be late April, the last week of April. So therefore, the two versions of this is one version of being the same, which you probably should be leaning towards at this point. Maybe not totally, it's not like it's guaranteed or anything, but maybe lean a little bit. Give it a 51% chance versus something new, 49% chance at bare minimum, right? Before April 1st, when the monthly candle closed above the monthly 10, I was more like a 75% chance of something the same was going to happen. But I've recently adjusted that, and I'm still maintaining that because that was a strong monthly closure. Anyway, the two versions of this is one capitulates either the penultimate, which is second to last week of April, or the last week of April. That's version 1 of the same. Version 2 of the same, it could, let me put the chart back on, get my face off of here. Version 2 it could be somewhere around the last week of April, perhaps as late as mid-May. Mid to late May, because this red line, if it really does bounce, this red line probably wouldn't go down. It'd be a slower curve like this, right? So it could be mid to late May in version 2 of the same. Now, things that something new could happen, all right? And now, for the two ways that something new could happen, one is more bullish than the other. So let's go take a look at this. Check out my Discord with the links in the description section of all my videos in order to turn on your camera and microphone up to 8 times a week and ask me questions directly in live. Follow me on Twitter at cosasverdes with the number 2. And if online communities are not your thing, but you want exclusive content above and beyond what I offer for YouTube, click the join button that's right below this video, and another short video will pop up describing your options to you. All right, I'm going to take off these EMAs here. Will I do that? I will not do that. I rather will go to I like the 8-hour chart. And yeah, I'll do this. So 8-hour chart with the same weekly EMAs. So even though I'm on the 8-hour chart, it's still the weekly 10, and it's the same red and purple line. You can just see more of this stuff because it's smaller candles, right? But I like to be able to see the chaos. If something new is going to happen, it's likely going to go down in one of two ways. I will put on my macro tilted range here, and I will add one more line. So the chart's going to get a little busy, but you're going to see why here. I'm going to draw, this makes it way too busy, but I'm going to draw over the master origin line like this, and then I'll get rid of all that. So it's not too crazy, right? We have tilted range, 2 EMAs, okay, so to break this down, and then one trend line, which is the most important straight line in all of Bitcoin history. You can't really argue that. All right. Now, the first way that this could be different is if it simply identifies itself, right? Not to try to get into U.S. and European progressive culture of I identify as it's something, different. I'm not trying to, but it ends up being identified in retrospect, ends up identifying as a major consolidation where it comes to the bottom of the range and generally stays in this range. Something to that effect. I find that a little bit, for the reason why I have a problem with that is because it goes back below this master origin line. And I guess for this I can get rid of the EMAs because we've already studied the EMAs, so I guess I will get rid of those because this is something different. So okay. The reason why I think that's maybe a little bit less probable is because this origin line, if you go that far below it, It's bad. I don't see it hanging out that far below the master origin line and then recovering. So, however, that is one way. Perhaps this master origin line gets trumped by the importance of, like big names and, like I have some VIP members in Discord who are adamant about the idea that, in terms of businesses having bought Bitcoin and tax purposes and all this stuff, like the theys in the market. So the theys, they aren't going to let it go much below 30K where they bought it, right? That I guess that could happen, and and however, and therefore the range could trump in my opinion, what is now more important, the master origin line. Therefore, it could happen, but that's my problem with the idea that it ranges, then maybe goes up to 75K, and then kind of keeps ranging, right? Until perhaps the next Bitcoin happening in 2024. I don't really see an altcoin season until 2020. Yeah, 2024 is probably when it's going to happen, folks. So that's one. The second way that this could be new is if you zoom in on current price structure, you can see that there is, I'm going to go to the daily chart now, and I can even take off the macro tilted range. From a structural standpoint, I'm only going to keep on this master origin line. Is in the past, the master origin line really has held up price. All right, it really has. It's only gone below once during March 2020, which people call their coronavirus dump. So I think if something new is going to happen, it's going to hold strong here as opposed to going down to 30K to check or 31K to check the bottom of the range. But look at this. You have a higher low structure and higher high. So, down, 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 low, high, higher low, equal high. So that's kind of tricky. Higher low structure, higher high, and we're still, so that's a daily uptrend. You have a higher high and a higher low. So technically you formed a higher low before the higher high, but you still have both. You could check mark both. If you only have one, then you're in a no trend, right? You have to have two check marks to be in an uptrend or a downtrend. You have to have both a higher low and a higher high, which the daily has. Actually, this is the 2-day chart, but same deal. Daily chart, low, high, higher low, equal high, higher low set, higher high again. And then this is undetermined, but it still has two check marks. Really, price would have to close a daily all the way below like 38K a day. So, and the cool thing about this is price can come all the way down to 38K and still be intact on a daily uptrend. That's not horrible. And that could be something new. And the distance from the master origin line, so let's draw this line. The distance from here is not too severe as it was with going down to the bottom of the range. Therefore, I don't have as much as doubts about this. I mean, there is some hopium in this. This is a daily nice structure uptrend. Even if it came down, worst case, maintaining its daily uptrend, it's not too terribly far away from the origin line. It could snap back up and really start roaring. And in addition to that, the daily uptrend, so this second case of something new is as bearish as a daily closure just over 38K, or it generally holds onto this, and once it breaks out above this high, kind of holding onto the master origin line, then it breaks out. So I guess that's three ways something new could happen, but I'm going to mix these two together. It holds the origin line, or the daily, comes down perhaps as low as 38K. I'm going to call those the same thing. So this one and this one, I'm going to call those the same, right? And in addition to that, there is a weekly uptrend as well. So down, low, high, higher low. So at this point you have one. You only have a higher low. You don't have a higher high yet. So therefore at that point it's a no trend. And then higher high on this closure. So now you have two check marks. You have a weekly uptrend and a daily uptrend. And these are the four ways that I can see things going down throughout 2022. But the key is, though, right now, literally, right now. And so right now could maintain itself for 6 to 8 weeks, the idea of right now. But from today, the time you're watching this, for the next 6 weeks, it is such a crucial juncture. You need to have general expectations of what's going to happen, not necessarily, just when Bitcoin shalalala going straight up, okay, it's fun to guess, but right now is extra important to have general ideas of the top four most likely ways that Bitcoin's going to move over the next, let's say 12 weeks or so. you need to have this scope. And I hope that you find these 4, macro overviews of what's going to happen at this critical juncture. I hope that you found this helpful. Click this video right here if you want to see those short-term time frame junctures, which creates more probabilities on shorter time frames on which one's going to play out, something new or the same. And click this video right here if you want to learn how to set up a chart, save templates. It's a 28-minute trading view tutorial. You just got Timified Worldwide. Peace.